Together, we empower local spiritual development and educate Native American seminary students to serve God faithfully. This is the Native American Ministries Sunday podcast. Thanks for listening in.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. Super excited to have you here today as we count down to Native American Ministries Sunday, a really special Sunday, important Sunday in our annual calendar. We're super excited to have Chebon Kernell with us today. Welcome to the show today.
No, it's good to be here. I'm so thankful to have this opportunity to talk about some of the work of Native American Ministries and, of course, the special Sunday.
Nice. Well, you are the Executive Secretary of Native American and Indigenous Ministries. That's a big title. That sounds super important.
It is, and sometimes I avoid saying it because it distracts.
With the, with the General Board of Global Ministries, obviously. Why don't we tell us a little bit about that role and kind of give us a bit of the Chebon story. Tell us your story.
Okay. No, as you know, I work for Global Ministries, and a lot of what I do is probably centering around social justice. Mm-hmm. And I do a lot of education on the needs of the Native American community. Some of that's internally with the General Agency at Global Ministries, mm-hmm. but it's also helping some of our annual conferences engage with Native peoples in their area. And then also there's some administrative portions of that job description. You know, I help to oversee some of the funds that are given for Native American Ministries Sunday. I really try to go into our constituency and let them know that there's this grant opportunity that exists. For some of our churches don't really even realize that that opportunity is there.
Nice. Now, are you a recipient? Not only, you're obviously today you're helping distribute some of those funds, but you're also a recipient of some of these funds. Is that correct?
That is correct. Now, I have to go way back. But early on, and this is probably around 10 years ago maybe, mm-hmm. I was an award recipient for the Seminary Award scholarship.
Okay, very cool.
I went and prepared for full-time ministry that I received, I believe, for maybe 4 consecutive years, a scholarship that transformed my life. It really removed the burden of having to pay for tuition fees, travel expenses, all of that from my consciousness, and I could focus on bettering myself for ministry. So yes, it was a long time ago, but I am a recipient of those awards that was given.
Now, how important would you say that that award was to you personally, to impacting your ministry today? What difference did that make in helping you with education to then ultimately, obviously, having you serve in the area you serve today?
And the words that I used was it transformed my opportunity, because I really believe that even right now, had I not had that opportunity to have that type of funding, I would be indebted in some form or fashion, paying off the fees, mainly the tuition. And for me, located in central Oklahoma, I had to travel a distance. So all of that was, it would have just added up in expenses. And to be honest, I'm not so sure that I would have been able to survive all of those challenges, all of those expenses. And there's a high likelihood that I may not have completed seminary. So I'm just thankful that all of that was removed because of that scholarship.
Very cool. Well, now, where did you go to seminary?
I actually went to, now I do get some harassment from our Methodist sisters. I did go to a Disciples of Christ run seminary.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fun. Theological Seminary, which I'm very proud of, and very wonderful colleagues. And even at the time, Methodists outnumbered the Disciples of Christ.
That's great. That's fantastic. Why is it important for, churches who may be listening in today, church leaders who are listening in, to support Native American Ministries Sundays? Why is it important to support this offering?
No, it is vital that in some form or fashion that we compel our sister churches to support this day, because for many of our congregations, some of our new fellowships that are Native American, this is the only kind of funding that they receive. And so really it's the lifeblood of so many of our ministries. We have some of our churches engaging in children's ministry to Native American boarding schools here in Oklahoma. They've been a recipient of one of these grants. And then we also have another one where we are sending seed money. We've granted them seed money for a new fellowship start. So instead of closing Native American churches, which is the common kind of denominator in Native conferences, this church, they're starting a new church. So,
wow, very cool.
So this fund is helping them to get off the ground. So I think it's so vital that sometimes this is the only funding that they get that's internal. And so it's very vital. And the way we look at that is that we kind of define it as a partnership between the Native community and their relatives across the United Methodist Church. So I really think just if some of our churches could understand how vital and important that is for the livelihood of those ministries.
Very cool. Now, how do you know what the history of Native American Ministries Sunday, kind of where it was started, and and how it came about today?
Now, I do know somewhat of some of the history. This goes all the way back into the 1980s. I was young, probably. I know I'm dating myself, but I'm probably was in my early teens, maybe even preteens. Initially, the day was called Native American Awareness Sunday.
Okay.
There was really a component just to help the denomination to just recognize the presence of Native American people. Well, as time went on, that notion was kind of challenged to say, well, we're more than just don't notice us. We're an active,
right?
We're living and thriving.
Right.
And so it evolved in the 90s into today, where now it's more of how can you partner with us in ministry. And that request is there because within the Native American communities, you see so many challenges. I think some of the figures go up into 25 to 30% of our Native American communities are under the poverty threshold. So I imagine how some of our areas are just very challenging, and it becomes very difficult to function that way. So that's where we said, well, this grant opportunity is a way for other churches to help us to walk up. It's not to be, not just to receive a handout, but to be a partner in the ministry.
I'm wondering if you could, obviously, there's a wide variety of Native ministries that are within our, our community that are serving, different kinds of churches and all different kinds of ministries. Even today, I've, appreciated you've kind of given us a sneak peek into, a number of different ones of them. But what would you say, are there some kind of common traits or kind of common issues that you see Native American ministries across our movement looking to tackle or to help with?
I think we have some similar, I don't know what to call it, just for lack of a better term, probably issues that some of the non-Native ministries see as well, and that's in terms of just relevance. Is that what we see in terms of the practice of the church is a form of Christianity that was really first indoctrinated in our communities, probably with the first generation of missionaries that came here. And during that time, you might say, well, it wasn't really our kind of socially justice-minded ministry. But what we see first and foremost is that kind of understanding that came from the missionaries was more a doctrine of obedience. And so once one was converted to Christianity, that was it. Teaching on discipleship, there was little teaching on what does it mean to be active, representing God and Jesus in life. And so that's something that we're really trying to get our communities to understand today, is that, with all of the social ailments that Native American communities face, there is more than enough avenues for entry where we're active in transforming the world around us. And so that's really what we're convincing churches, that it's more than just a worship service on Sunday morning. It's your life when you go out, and how do you encounter your children? How do you talk to your elders? How do you stand up for the women of our community? In Native American communities right now, the figures are scary in that around 50% of our Indigenous women on this continent have suffered some form of violence in their lifetime. What I ask is, how do we empower the women of our community? How do we, as people of faith, be the ones standing up saying this is egregious?
Right.
So there's all kinds of things, and that's really the challenge that we have, is how do we teach that to our churches, that it's more than just a static way of believing, but it's a faith that compels us to action.
Absolutely. If someone's listening in today and they say, I want to be more involved, I want to be more engaged with Native American and Indigenous ministries, how could they plug in? Is there, maybe they're a church leader, maybe they're an individual, maybe they're someone in a church. How could they plug in? What would that look like for them?
The first thing is I would check with their local annual conference.
Mm-hmm.
And all of our annual conferences are requested to have a committee on Native American ministries.
Okay.
That is a committee that is built up of the local leadership of areas there. And now here's the difficult part, is that not all of our annual conferences have those.
Okay.
So what I would say is it's definitely a good thing to ask those type of questions.
Mm-hmm.
Just, well, why don't we? There are natives in every state in the United States.
Yep.
So, what I've asked all of our denominations is that maybe if we don't have a Native American church or a Native American fellowship, then why aren't we in some type of relationship with that community? We should at least know, oh, there's a health clinic down the road, or oh, there's a resource center, library, or some type of education center down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Access those. But I think the first and foremost thing is to call our annual conference, because we do have committees on Native American.
Mm-hmm.
In the second portion, you do have people across the connection, such as myself in my office.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Native American Comprehensive Plan,
Mm-hmm.
the Native American International Caucus, who does a lot of the social justice work
Mm-hmm.
of advocacy. And then, of course, we have what a lot of people describe as the heart of Native American ministries, the Oklahoma Indian Mission Conference.
Mm-hmm.
We have from time to time hosted educational events within their boundaries, so that people can be educated on some of the challenges of ministry and also the things that Native churches are doing today.
Very cool. Well, I really appreciate you being on the show today, Chebon. It's been great to have you and give people a taste of your ministry and yourself. If there's anything else you'd like to share with our listeners as they're tuning in today? The last thing is this: anything, whether from the smallest to the biggest of actions, everything is appreciated. Is that in the United States today, Native American people only make up 1% of the population. So I think when we engage in advocacy, when we engage in just supporting Native American Ministries Sunday, it's so vital to have partnerships with the non-Native community and our sister churches across the connection. So from any, just raising the awareness in our local church to supporting the special Sunday, whatever it may be, will always help, and it is appreciated. Nice. Thank you so much, Chebon, for being on the show today. I really appreciate your ministry. Thank you for taking time out. I know you're busy, and I appreciate you taking some time with us today.
No problem. I sure do appreciate the invitation.
Together, we empower local spiritual development and educate Native American seminary students to serve God faithfully. This is the Native American Ministries Sunday podcast. Thanks for listening in.